Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tim. I'm here to show you some of the things I'm doing this year to help myself prep for my Western hunting trip. I got about 1,900 miles each way, so getting the prep, having the right stuff with me is critically important. One of the big things I have new this year is my Howard's Total Vise system. This is bow press, bow vise hitch mount that allows me to be completely mobile. I'm predominantly an archery hunter these days, which is still kind of weird to say, but between archery and tack, myself, a whole bunch of other people, we're always traveling, we're going long ways, big events, we got our bows with us, and stuff happens. It wasn't that many years ago, I was on the back of a tailgate with my brother, and we were trying to use a ratchet strap to crank down his bow because he got derailed in the brush. Pretty sketchy, prefer not to do that again, and now thanks to this system I won't. So what really makes this mobile is what's in this bag right here. This is the Howard's hitch adapter. This fits right into your standard 2-inch receiver. Has this bolt right here to secure it. That's a 15/16 head on that bolt. I'll show you that in just a second. It would be really nice if that's what my lug nuts were. Unfortunately, they're 7/8, so this means I've got one more socket to bring, but that's not the end of the world. One socket fits in the car pretty easy. So this slides right into the receiver here. You need to get this bolt through the hole, and then I guess depending on your risk tolerance, maybe you don't even put this in. Personally, I care quite a bit about my bow and my gear. I'm not going to take any chances. So run this in finger tight here. You can see this just takes a few seconds to do. All right, so that's finger tight. You can see there's still a little bit of play. That's not crazy. If you want to, go ahead and grab your tools. You can hit this, tighten it up, and it makes it a lot more secure. Actually, give that one more good and tight there. And now I'm shaking my whole car by this hitch adapter. This thing's super sturdy, very well built. I'll probably say that 50 times during this video. This Howard stuff is very, very robust, very nicely made. So now we need to get this pipe vertical. We're gonna loosen this right here. This bolt goes right into that notch, falls in, spin that down, crank her tight, and again, you can shake your entire car with this hitch mount. Whatever you put in here that you care about is going to stay put. So there's a few different tools that you can put into the top of this hitch adapter. Of course, the first big one is the Howard's Total bow press. I have this one on a knuckle, so I have an extra adapter right here. This allows me to do third axis adjustments. If you wanted to save a little room, you could take this off. You could drop the bow press itself right in. You just lose a little bit of flexibility there in terms of the adjustments. So you can position this however you want it, tighten it down with the little handles there. It's like the last time I did this, I was using it as a drawboard. One of the best features of this press actually is the drawboard stuff that comes with it. But for the purposes of today, not going to be putting it on the drawboard, just be showing the bow press itself. So two different ways to adjust this bow press. First is a handle, has a built-in magnet, stores right there, goes on the end, super easy. This is actually how I normally do it. It's like single finger adjustment. I appreciate that control, but on a road trip, if you're going a long ways, you might have impact driver with you because you're worried about being able to change a flat quickly. You will need the 3/8 inch adapter instead of the 1/2 inch, which is probably what you're using if you have an impact driver for lug nuts. But this goes right in. You can take the handle off, put it on its magnet, and clicks right in. And you can really change the length of this press in a hurry. This press also has a cotter pin out here. Let's say, maybe you're a big guy, maybe you got one of those 35-inch axle bows. Maybe you're hunting with a kid or someone who's smaller. Their bow's like 30 inches axle to axle, or maybe even smaller, right? Some of the Matthews are like 27 inches, I think. You can do a gross adjustment right there with that little clevis pin. So that is probably a bit too long for my bow. Let me just check here. Still shooting my tried and true PSE Mach 1. This bow has been very good to me over the years, and we've had a lot of success together. So you can see these fingers are already adjusted, but very easy to slide them wider if you need to just get that perfect limb to finger ratio. And then I actually did have this whip just about right. Hopefully carefully get this in. All right, now we're in business, and you can easily press the bow. The little impact driver doesn't like that. Let me switch over to the hand crank here. If you have an impact wrench, you're not going to have any issues, but this thing's only like 160 foot-pounds of torque. It's not that much. That needs tightened up. All right, so you can see it's a bow press. It does bow press things. You can see the tension is now out of the strings and cables. So whatever work you need to do, peep sights, I know those are a big problem for people in the field. I've lost 2 bowls, unfortunately, because my peep sight was sliding around and I didn't realize it. Met a guy in the woods a couple years ago. His peep was tied in poorly. He ended up missing a bowl later in the hunt because of it. You don't want to slide your peep around when the string's under tension. If you notice there's a problem, come back to the truck, press it, and get it tied in better. I like the Gillingham method, and then you're back in business. I've also cut cables in the field, so that's a bad deal. Had an arrow with a broadhead come out of the quiver while I was going through some brush. Cut one of my cables about halfway through. Did end up killing an elk about an hour later, but 2 days later when I got home, the bow was totally out of whack. That cable had stretched significantly. I would not have been able to hunt the next day with that bow for sure. So I always have a spare set of strings with me that are broken in, peep installed, ready to go. Come back to the truck, put it in the press, throw the new strings, new cables on, whatever you need, and you're back in business. You're gonna save yourself so many hours if you have a problem versus getting to a shop, tracking down the guy on a holiday weekend. I normally hunt over Labor Day weekend. Good luck finding that guy who might actually be out trying to fill his own tag. This system just makes you so much more self-sufficient, mobile, really a no-brainer. If you are hunting even a couple hours from home, I would highly recommend having this system. So let me get the bow out of the press here, and I'll show the other goodie I had in the back there that I think is actually equally useful for rifle and archery hunting. This string is for the drawboard. Like I said, I'm not going to show that, but everything you need for the drawboard is built in there. A drawboard pulls the bow back. For those of you who may not know, if you do know, well, it pulls the bow back in the truck. Get this bow press out of the way here. Another outstanding product from Howard's is their bow vise. There is an adapter piece in here. I should probably show. If you have just the vise and you try dropping into the hitch here, you're going to be sorely disappointed. That does not fit. You need this little adapter. That drops in, and now, bam, your bow vise is just as good as it is in your house. This thing is super adjustable. You can pivot, tilt, whatever you need. It just grabs onto the bow right here by the handle in these jaws here. There's nice rubber padding in there. It gets a good grip. You can tighten this down as much as you need to and fully lock that in, right? Super secure. This would mostly be for if you were trying to put on just a D-loop or if you need to do something with the sight or the rest. I've seen broken sights. My brother, about 6 years ago, broke 2 of the pins out of his sight, right? That was kind of a bad deal. If we'd had this set up back then, it would have been a piece of cake to throw a new sight on. This vise is actually pretty versatile though, so it grabs a bow real nicely, but it also holds a rifle pretty good. If you needed to bore sight a rifle, for some reason you were unsure of, is my rifle properly zeroed? Did I bore sight properly? Loosen that just a smidge more. All right, you can throw your rifle in here. Super secure setup. If you were into cleaning your rifle barrel, this would also be a pretty nice way to do it. You could actually pivot this, set this up so you had that nice bore down. Make sure your cleaning solution runs out the end of the barrel. Whatever you need to do, just a nice, easy way to have your rifle set up for whatever work you need to do while you're out there in the field. So, yeah, that's my tip for you today is if you're doing a long distance hunt, you're gonna be hunting away from home, make sure you have the tools and stuff you need to keep yourself in the field, in the hunt. The whole point is to be out there in the woods having fun. You don't want to be trying to track down some guy at 10 o'clock at night, midnight, 2 a.m. to try and fix your weapon the last couple of days of a hunt that you spent 3, 4, 5, 15 years trying to draw. So there you go. Hope you all have a great day.